Hello and welcome to All Sports Takes Week 11 predictions. Unfortunately, John is not here. He's absent. He is on a hunting trip, didn't have Wi-Fi, couldn't record the episodes, but he still was able to get his predictions to me. And today we're going to be covering that. On Thursday Night Football, we both chose the Eagles. And last week, John went 11 and 5. Wow, or sorry, 9 and 5, while I went 8 and 6. Kind of a rough week, kind of tough games last week, but you know what, it is what it is. Let's get straight into it. John is ahead of me by 6 games, but we have a lot of differentials. So Dolphins versus Raiders, we both chose the Dolphins here. I think this is a pretty easy pick. I think that the Raiders aren't necessarily an outstanding team. They haven't looked as such since they beat the Ravens week 2. Dolphins got a big game win Monday Night Football. I told everybody it was going to happen against the Rams, and I think that Tyreek Hill and Tua Tagovailoa are kind of back. They're meshing together, and so for that reason, John and I both picked the Dolphins. Next, we have the Browns versus the Saints. John has gone with the Browns. I presume he's believing in that Browns defense to stop the Saints offense, and has unwavering faith in Jameis Winston. In contrast, I'm picking the Saints. They beat the Falcons last week. They're looking pretty good with Derek Carr coming back. And we got to remember when Derek Carr was healthy and this was a healthy team, these Saints were 2-0 and they were beating good teams. And so, I'm going to pick the Saints to win this one. And I'm thinking it'll be pretty big, 27 to probably like 10 or something like that. Colts versus Jets. Anthony Richardson is coming back. Aaron Rodgers is playing like trash. With that being said, I have the Jets. It's in New York. Jets defense, I think, should be able to lock down Anthony Richardson. I don't really trust them at the helm. John, in contrast, has picked the Colts, so that's another differential game. We're going to see how it goes, but overall, I think that the Jets are going to pull this out for Aaron Rodgers and that offense, even though this isn't the Aaron Rodgers we're used to. Next, we have the Vikings versus the Titans in Nashville, Tennessee. John and I both picked the Vikings here. The Vikings have been in a slump. Sam Darnold has been playing really bad, 3 interceptions last week. With that being said, the Vikings defense has been outstanding. I think statistically the best defense in the NFL, up there with the Chiefs, and it just goes to show that defense wins you games by some of the best teams in the league who aren't having that great of offensive years. Their defense has been pretty darn good. And so because of that, I'm going to pick the Vikings, and John has as well. The Bears, I told everybody that they were overrated, and it just shows. They are not a good team. They've been losing games left and right after that Hail Mary, and they lost to the Patriots last week. And they're going to continue to lose to the Packers this week. I know that it's in Chicago. I know it's a rivalry game. Just the Packers are a better team, and I think you just would be crazy not to go with the Packers here. And so John and I both picked the Packers. Jaguars versus Lions. I have the Lions here, and so does John. Are just the best team in the NFL right now. I don't care what anybody says. I don't care what they say about the Chiefs. The Lions have been able to close out games convincingly. The fact that you're able to throw 5 interceptions and still win games just shows how good of a team you are. And if Jared Goff can just keep it together, then they're going to win this game easily. And so I have the Lions in a blowout, winning this one like 38-10. Next, the Rams versus the Patriots. John has loved his Patriots. The Patriots got a win last week against the Bears. I think that the Rams are a good team and that their offense is good, and I think they're going to be able to outscore the Patriots. And so I have the Rams winning this one. John picked the Patriots because, he's a Patriots fan. We can all expect that. I do have to say that Drake May has been looking pretty good over the past couple of weeks. It's rare for a rookie QB to be able to throw the ball as much as he is and still withhold from making a bunch of mistakes. And I have to applaud him for that. I mean, he's been great for the Patriots. The last 11 o'clock or 1 o'clock game is the Ravens versus the Steelers in a rivalry game. The Steelers are coming into this one at 7-2. The Ravens 7-3. This is a heck of a game. Personally, I know that the Steelers defense is good, but I just think that the Steelers strength of schedule has been very poor. They haven't really faced any like amazing teams, and so because of that, I'm just gonna pick the Ravens. Ravens are coming off a great win against the Bengals, which I don't want to talk about any more than that. And overall, I just think that the Steelers lack the talent on offense. I know that they're coming off that Commanders win, and I know that Russell Wilson has been kind of like snapping. But at the end of the day, if you're in a shootout, Lamar Jackson's going to outscore Russell Wilson, and I think that we can all agree that Lamar Jackson is just in that offense is better, more reliable than that of the Steelers. Next, John is the Ravens as well. Next, we have a divisional rivalry between the 49ers and the Seahawks. In this one, John and I have go ahead and both picked the 49ers. Seahawks are 4-5, 49ers are 5-4. This is kind of a must win for both teams if they want to keep their hopes alive in the playoffs. Seahawks are coming off the bye, but in their most recent match, they lost to the Rams in OT 26-20, and then they lost to the Bills 31-10. Both at home, both tough losses. It's hard to be a Seahawks fan. I think it's just going to continue because even though that Jake Moody hasn't been performing, that entire 49ers team has been playing pretty darn well. And so because of that, John and I are both just going to pick the 49ers. In another differential game, the Atlanta Falcons are traveling to Mile High Stadium to face the Broncos. Falcons are coming off barely beating the Cowboys and losing to the Saints by 3. Falcons are probably the most inconsistent team in the NFL. Week in and week out, I do not know what's going to happen with that team. And I think that this trend is just going to continue in this game where I just have no clue. John doesn't either. John has picked the Falcons. I picked the Broncos. I picked the Broncos because, their defense has been playing amazing. And I'm thinking that they'll stop Kirk Cousins and Bo Nix is like 20 points a game will be enough to get the job done. Next, we have the Chiefs versus the Bills. This is a heck of a game. This is for sure the game of the week. The Chiefs are 9-0, while the Bills are 8-2. Both have had relatively easy schedules, but the Chiefs are without a doubt an amazing team, and so are the Bills. And so it's in Buffalo. It's a toss-up. John has picked the Bills, I presume, because it's in Buffalo and that the Chiefs always create these one-scoring games. They would be able to get out against the Broncos. I'm just not going to bet against the Chiefs, so I'm going to pick the Chiefs in this one to win. I just think it's just, whenever there's these big opponents, you just don't bet against the Chiefs. You don't bet against Andy Reid. And so I'm going to keep that with that trend in this game. Sunday Night Football is another heck of a game. The Bengals versus the Chargers. The Chargers are 6-3, but let me remind you, they've had the easiest schedule this season. Let me put their opponents on the board. Beat the Titans, beat the Browns, beat the Saints without Derek Carr and Alvin Kamara, I think, in that game. Lost to the Cardinals, beat early season Broncos, lost to the Chiefs, lost to the Steelers, beat Panthers, beat Raiders. I mean, those are just not good wins at the end of the day. Maybe 1 out of those 6 wins is a good win. And I just think that they're an overrated team. I've been saying this for a while now. And so I'm going to keep with this trend, and I'm going to pick the Bengals to win this one. I know that the Bengals have had a rough week. They're 4-6, I think. Not a very good record whatsoever. However, let's think about it here. If you were an NFL GM or a head coach and you're about to face the Bengals or any other team, would you rather face the Bengals or would you rather face like a winning record team like the Steelers? I think you'd rather face the Steelers. Would you rather face the Bengals or would you rather face like the Commanders? I think you'd rather face the Commanders. Would you rather face the Bengals? Would you rather face the Vikings? The Bengals have a bad record, but they're playing amazing. They get it close with all these teams. They can beat almost any team in the NFL any given day, and they've shown that by only losing by like 1-score possessions. If the Bengals 1-score possession games had gone the other way, they would be 8-2 right now. And so that just goes to show how Joe Burrow and that kind of Bengals offense has kind of deteriorated as the fourth quarter comes along. But as a Bengals fan, I just can't bet against us. I really hope we get this one. If we lose this game, we're not going to make the playoffs. Simple as that. Monday Night Football is Texans versus the Cowboys. The rivalry in Texas, which on paper looks like a good matchup, it's not going to be a good matchup because the Cowboys don't have any players. Cooper Rush is going to be the starting QB. I feel bad for Dak Prescott. Had a season-ending injury. He is out for the rest of the season. And so for that reason, John and I have both picked the Texans. John picked the Bengals, by the way, in the past one. But John and I both picked the Texans here to beat the Cowboys because the Cowboys don't have any offensive weapons. I have the Texans winning, actually in a semi-close one. I'm going to say 23-10. So those are our predictions. I hope you enjoyed. Sorry that John could not get on this episode. Hopefully we can get him out for next week. Anyway, what's your favorite matchup this week? I think for most people it's got to be the Chiefs versus the Bills. I'm excited for a good shootout between those teams. I think it'll be a good high scoring game. Thank you for watching All Sports Takes Week 11 predictions. And we'll see you next week. Peace.